Look at how cool this is, y'all. What? I was looking for a tree for us. Today we're going to talk about how to appreciate yourself for real. Like how to really know how to appreciate yourself in a real and lasting way. And not in an egotistic way, right? So just know that ahead of time. I will not be steering you towards appreciating how, look at that, look at the sun, how your ego can perform for you. You know? Because why do that? That doesn't last. I don't want to teach you anything that's not going to last. And it's not me that's teaching, right? It's so cool. I was at a live meeting today, but it was playing an old tape of Eckhart Tolle, and he was talking about, you're not the one teaching presence. You're getting out of the way so that divine love, presence can be present through you. And so it feels great because it's a relief of all this pressure you had on yourself, right? All right, I don't want to hold my phone today, so let's figure out how to do this. Welcome. All right, I don't have to figure out much. I just sit on the ground. And I welcome you to this session that we're going to have, right? I'm a psychologist in my day job, so I'm used to working in 1 hour sessions, right? And I got to cut it down sometime for us due to time or due to, who's going to pick up these videos or whatever's going on in that day sometimes, It's like after so much crying last night again about just stuff that was surfacing in my own life, I just feel so refreshed today. It's like you don't think when you're in the middle of the storm. So this is for someone, of course, because we all go through this. Look at this. Lo, I am with you always, right? I have it upside down. I'll switch it. Right? Jesus said that to us. Lo, I am with you always. Right? I am with you always. The I am, this ever present, right? So, so I'm saying it's like after a storm, after the rain and everything smells fresh and everything's cleaned out. And so there was another storm in my life. And I only bring up my life so that you guys can apply it to your life, so that you can apply these truths. Whatever I have worked so hard to surrender myself to gain is for all of us. I look at it for all of us, right? Be aware of your breath, right? Breath is flowing through you. One of the things that was so comforting to me, I just know there's this one person that cares about me, and maybe that was it, I don't know. But we were having an online meeting last night, and this guy is just another person, a teacher sort of person in my life. I mean, we're all teachers to each other, right? So I'm not trying to set myself up to be a higher teacher than anybody else. I learned that from Rumi. I don't know where it's written, but I learned it from Rumi. That's like, we're all mothers and brothers and sisters and fathers and husbands and wives. Obviously we have limits and boundaries. We're you honor and respect each other in certain roles. But you know, if this man was just showing up to be loving, to teach us whatever he was going to teach us in our online meeting last night, it's just he's showing up as my brother, as my father, as a good spouse, just as a loving, protective person. And he was reading part of the Psalms, and it was like, why are you so downcast, my soul? Why are you so heavy within me? Oh, put your trust in the Lord, in the divine love, right? In divine love. You know, don't have your mental constructs all tied to these right now, because we're not talking about, quote, religion. We're talking about divine love. We're talking about the love that is, the love that we were created from, right? And it's like, put your hope in this, and you'll never be led astray. And then he was talking about the book of Daniel. Daniel is the one that had to face the lion's den. He was thrown into the lion's den, and the lions didn't eat him. But this was before that. I think it was. I mean, I've had so many weird experiences, you guys. I've met someone. I'll leave that be. But it has something in connection with Daniel, right? You have no idea the mysteries. You know, you have some idea because you've experienced some mysteries. But when you let go and surrender to the mysteries that are in this life, it'll just blow your mind, right? Anyway, Daniel was trained with the Chaldeans and all their artistry, whatever their magic was. I don't know what he was exposed to when some Israelites were in captivity. Let's Bob Marley for a second. In our hearts is Mount Zion, now you know, seek the lion. That's all this is going to be about, right? How to appreciate yourself is how to recognize that you are the breath of divine love. You are the breath of God. God breathed into you. God loves you. God, you know, I know people can say, smile, Jesus loves you, right? It's not about just throwing a doctrine inside yourself. It's just understanding, how can I appreciate myself as soul? Go back and rewind. If that part of you was nervous when I got all silent and I'm just looking at you, you know, being here present with you, then keep going back to that as many times as it takes and sit through that and know that you are loved. Know that I can only do that now a little bit more than before because I've sat with myself in the presence and just waited for that, you know, the hammer to drop and me to be rejected, and presence kept showing up and loving me. I was asking myself that on the way here. I was like, when have I ever run out? You know, because egotism thinks in lack, and egotism always says you're going to run out of this, you're going to run out of that, you're going to run out of love, out of money, out of whatever, you know, friendships, out of your house, out of whatever. It'll put everything in that lack category. But one of my subscribers on YouTube, right, I encourage you, I really entreat you and invite you. There's no shoulds here. I'm just inviting you. Go over to my YouTube. It's DrCherylMeier, the same as you're probably seeing here, CherylMeier, and join us there because, you know, I want all this to go to everybody, but you know, when I don't have time or whatever, then I'll just upload things on YouTube usually and try to get everything there so it's all in one place. But I also put in the other places because anyway, I won't go into that, but I encourage you. So one of my YouTube subscribers was saying a long time ago, this is a comment that I had missed, and then I found it the other night, and she said, God lacks lack. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What does that mean? Because I didn't even know the video that I had made that she was commenting about. And this has to do with you appreciating yourself, right? She's like, God is the one that doesn't have any lack, you know? And of course my mind and my heart go like, see, drop down into your heart from your mind, right? goes into all of this. Well, I never want to lack. And, it says, the scriptures say, and I welcome all religions and all people, right? So you don't have to believe in these scriptures, but I'm going to share what I know of holy scriptures, when it resonates with divine truth, with divine love, is that it says, for you have died, and I was taught to put my name in it, right? You have died, Cheryl, and your life is hidden with God in Christ. And Christ says, this, what I just showed you, I am with you, right? The I am. God is called the I am that I am. And so, I'm checking if it's all right to share this. I had a personal experience with divine love, and I never want to. It's just like if you have a personal experience with a friend, you don't want to just be like, hey, I'm going to use that in a video. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a video. It's meant for all of us. But oh, it smells so good just now when I take a breath. Just notice yourself as more than this moment, more than your problems, more than your personality self, more than your accomplishments. Like, I always look at this always helps me. A couple times it hasn't, because I was just so upset, but just see the wind moving in the trees. You are like that. You are like this breath, this animated being, this presence of love on this earth, right? And it's not for me to just tell you this. It's for us to understand, stand under. Okay, so here's the vision. I had a vision from God. I think it was from God, right? So I always say, test everything, hold everything, give everything back to God, right? So I had this vision, and this was about 3 years ago, and I won't date this. I never date. I do my best not to date my videos. But I was in a roller skating rink, right? Of all places. And I was meditating. I was there by myself. There were lots of people there, but I was meditating. So I was in a deep meditation. Because sometimes I sit and meditate and be present with God. And sometimes if I hadn't done it, I would go and exercise and meditate while I was on a hike, and just be present with God there. But this happened to be at a roller skating rink. And I saw a vision of this one person, that I loved, but I was having problems with. We'll call it problems, right? And I saw Christ, and I hardly ever see, I don't know, at that time, anyway, I saw Christ stepping into this person, and I didn't know what that meant, we can take the words, love this person as you would love me if you knew that I was in this person, right? For me, Christ is someone, this is what was just coming to me before this too, is like, wow, if everybody knew that every word, that even if they recorded it, they found fragments of the New Testament in the Gospels, right? That they found 1800 years later, or in the 1930s in the Qumran and stuff, the Dead Sea Scrolls that correspond. I don't know about the Gospels there, but they found other fragments hundreds of years later. You can look in this yourself, but just whatever. That match, okay? So I just look at the words of Jesus and see for yourself. Every time he's talking to us, he's teaching us about higher consciousness. I know this as a psychologist. I've been a psychologist for over 20 years, right? And I studied for 9 years before that, right? I'll just say I started when I was 1, so that's, I think I'm 29, right? Anyway, we're ageless, right? And so I saw Christ going into this person, right? And in my own interpretation, and this will be about you appreciating yourself as well. In my own interpretation, of course, I could be like, let's see this tree. I could be like, oh, that means every horrible and mean thing this person does to me because I had the wrong boundaries and I let them do horrible things. Only in that, if you're invested and keep trying to love someone that doesn't show up in your life and doesn't reciprocate and doesn't want to be there, then you keep humiliating yourself. And so in that way, that person kept hurting me. But nevertheless, I trust that Christ showed me himself in this person for a reason, right? So imagine if Christ is wow, well, that'll get really deep. I don't want to confuse people theologically, right? But look at John 1:9. It says, in John 1, it says, in the beginning was the Logos, the Word. In Greek, the Logos. Ha Logos. And he was the light that enlightened all men and women, all people. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, right? And so that's Christ. And so in a way, and I'm not making this just this universal consciousness that I just make up, right? I encourage you to understand what heresy is, right? And check everything that I say. Check with divine love. Check within yourself. I mean, people can say things that you just are like, yeah, I want to believe that, but check if it's true. So Christ being in this person doesn't mean excuse everything they do. Just let it be as it is, right? If Christ is in you, Christ is in me. The word for spirit is the same word as breath, the holy breath, right? The sacred breath. There's all these encounters in the book of Acts, there are recordings after Jesus ascended. He ascended in the beginning of Acts as well. That, like St. Paul is asking these people, well, did the Holy Spirit come upon you yet? And they were like, nope, not yet, because they believed in just the baptism of John. And so there's a real occurrence. Oh, look at this roly-poly. There's a real occurrence of the Holy Spirit, right? Here, I'll let you go, bud. Huh? Whoops, he's all rolled up now. Aww. Okay, he'll come back out, right? I want to teach you this deep truth. So one, for sure, is understand that Christ is always teaching us how to get out of these holes in our lives. And two, I want to go back to Daniel for a second. Why I started crying when I saw this guy come on the screen. I didn't know why. I just started bawling my eyes out last night. Not this guy that I saw Jesus going into. No, this other person acting in the role of a teacher. I was reading the Psalms and reading about Daniel, and I wanted to finish that thought. Is Daniel, they were told, the king just got all mad. He was in his rage. King Nebuchadnezzar, maybe? They were in Babylon. They were in captivity. And he said, if all my astrologers and soothsayers and the seers, and it says, look in Daniel, you guys. We read this weekend. It was so cool. It says that Daniel and Mishael, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were their Babylonian names, but were 10 times more knowledgeable than all of the soothsayers and all of the people that were trained in the highest arts in the Chaldeans, right? They were 10 times more, right? And so our world and the forces of this world will, I know in my own life, they try to tell you that if you follow these occult things and you give your lifeblood and your soul and all these other things to this, like chasing after money or chasing after fame or chasing after knowledge, spiritual knowledge, in these ways that are forbidden, that are not of God. You know, they say you're going to know more, but these guys were pulled into captivity and they knew the ways of God, and they knew 10 times more. The king, who was Babylonian, tested them and saw that they did, right? And so it's a lie. It's a lie that you're going to learn more from taking shortcuts. That's just a side pro tip here, right? But Daniel was there, and he was praying. He said to his friends, hey, well, the king's going to kill us if we don't tell him what this vision means tomorrow. And so pray for me, right? And they prayed 3 times a day anyway. It's not just clutch prayers like, okay, I'm going to run into prayer. Like, have a life of prayer. And a life of prayer is a life of presence, is a life of, hey, divine love, I have all these problems. I don't know my real worth. I keep finding people and trying to get my worth from them, trying to repeat my childhood and going to unavailable people like my parents were and their own lack of consciousness, and trying and equating my worth. You know, this is another real huge insight that just came to me on a deeper level last night and this morning, was that, wait, you know, for an example, the person that ghosted me, the one time that I got ghosted as an adult, you know, and then I realized, wait, my whole childhood was pretty much a ghosting, you know. It was like trying to show up for people that you really, really love deeply in your heart, and going, why don't they choose me? Why don't they love me? Why don't they reciprocate this? Why don't they show up in my life? You know, in a deeper capacity, in this sensitive capacity like I have, you know. And it's like, why is it that I give my love to someone and it's not reciprocated? Well, look, again, you know, here, we'll use this leaf. We'll use this leaf and another leaf, right? All right, so it's like, my worth, like these 2 leaves were created by God, the divine love, let's say, right? This is how you can appreciate yourself. If this leaf, you know, said they love this leaf in whatever way, you know, and then all of a sudden they blow away, they disappear, does this leaf have any less value, right? Does this leaf have any less value? This leaf has no less value as being perfectly created by the divine love, by an artist in the sky, you know, more than the sky. The skies are the heavens. Oh, look, the roly-poly's out again. Right? Just crawling around. And so, but look, wherever that leaf went, you know, who cares? Like, let it go, because my worth was never attached to that other leaf, either at my parents or the world or more subscribers or more likes or more money in my bank or more cars or more love from my children and appreciation for all the things I do for them, or more love from my friends. None of that has anything to do with my worth or your worth, right? Does anything they do in their life towards me have anything to do with your worth? You know, and so now there's this thing. So look at this. I was taught this. It's like, we all look like we're independent, right? But we are all one in divine love. We're all one in God. And so both, there's paradoxes in spiritual understandings and spiritual truths, and truths about divine love, because God is the one, okay? God is the one up here that doesn't lack anything. And you can be, the more we learn how to be one with the one, then we realize we lack nothing. I lack nothing. The more I see myself as separate, as a separate being, the more I keep thinking I'm in lack, but the more I see myself in this love, right? I'll do it like this is love. The more I see myself in that, the more I know this love. Now, see how both are true. Like, my worth as this leaf is independent of my parents' knowledge of my worth, and even my knowledge of my worth. I kept treating myself like this, like a doormat, like I had less worth because that other person wasn't showing me by his actions that I had more worth than to just disappear and walk out of my life, and eventually give me one sentence that says, I don't want to ever talk to you. That's okay. It's okay, because does that have anything to do with my worth? I still got the opportunity to learn how to open my heart. And then, yes, I can use more discernment of choosing to let people in my life that don't choose to be reliable in their own lives, or, show a pattern, a track record. Now, you can have people, I've known my two brothers and my sister my whole life, because my older brother was there when I was born already. And so, we could still have problems, and they could walk out of my life for a while and then come back. And, someone can show a really good track record and still they're human, right? But what is this mystery? I'm not going to tell you what the mystery is, because I don't know still. What the mystery is that Christ was showing me, that he's like, I'm in this person. I stepped into this person, I gave my life for this person, whether they accept it or not, that's on them. But I gave my life to reconcile them to a perfect God, to divine love, What does that mean? That's for you to understand. That's for you to find out. But you see how what I wanted to give to you guys, because I always want to give away what's been given to me, what set me free, let me, free out of captivity, is look at even what I learned last night after I was bawling my eyes out, and I didn't understand. Maybe I was crying for somebody else, I was thinking it could be that. Or just sometimes you cry when you've shifted into a new place, or you're about to shift into a new place. There's toxins in our tears that are different each time we're crying. And so you're releasing things out of your body. And so this guy was reading about Daniel, and then he was reading about Paul, and Paul was saying how he's shed so many tears. I'm like, thank you for all the tears that are in the Psalms. And then maybe I knew ahead of time, because there is no such thing as time, that all these tears would be in the scripture or something. I don't know, who knows? But Daniel it was such a relief for me, because Daniel was like, I'm in the hands of God. If God wants me to live, I'll live tomorrow, and he'll give me the answer to this vision, because, he let me go in captivity. And I was just in a meeting this morning, and this girl, I don't know where she was from, maybe Sweden. I didn't get to ask her, because we all got 5 minutes to share. It was just a breakout room, and she's so beautiful, but you can tell she knows this. She's living this. She's like, this is what I tell myself all the time, because she knows it is true. It's like, we all belong to God, to divine love. We all belong to God. And so that's just reiterating what I learned last night, right? And so I could know that what she was saying was true, because it resonated, and I hope it resonates in your heart, right? To divine love, not to some evil, but it's just. God is just, so God will hold people accountable. So I have lots of videos, and I can do lots of videos after this, perhaps, God willing, on how, no, you don't keep giving people excuses. You let them have Christ in them, and then they're a job for Jesus. You can detach and surrender them up and be like, well, I can love this person from a distance, but I'm not going to let them keep rejecting me in my life and reaffirming my old home, okay? Understand, this is how you appreciate yourself more, is understand we have emotional homes. And if our emotional home was this homeless place where we're on the street and in lack all the time and feeling like crap, then we will find, and this is a clinical term, then we'll find other people that will replicate that. And of course, we want a happily ever after. We want the frog to turn into a prince and, come and rescue us from this pain. But, you get to kiss yourself with the kiss of Christ, right? With a kiss of divine love, and be present with yourself, and stop being a frog to yourself and turn into the prince and the princess, because divine love, God is this one, right? We come from this oneness, right? Christ came to show us that too. Stay connected to the divine, stay grounded on earth, learn how to love yourself and other people. how to do that is we come back into this oneness, right? And when we come here, it's beyond male and female. It's beyond your present circumstances. It's beyond someone who ghosted you. It's beyond whatever I'm explaining in this video or describing. I'm only using words to describe one little part of this, you know. And Matilda of Magdeburg, I think, it was from the 1200s she wrote, and she's like, and she wrote all these beautiful mystic visions that she had of God loving her and all that. And she was saying, like, everything that I've taught you is just like a thimbleful of water of the love of divine love that he's shown to me in my heart, and that God is beyond he and she. That because, okay, so I don't have to justify it, but there's a psalm, and it is Psalm 27. You know, it says, though my mother and father forsake me, the Lord, the I am, picks me up, right? The I am takes me back into this oneness every time where there is no lack. Because God is the one that lacks lack. He has no lack. He, she, beyond that. The absolute infinite beingness. This divine love, right? And so Daniel was like, well, you know, if you have this knowing, I belong to God. I belong to God. And so if I don't, because they were taken in captivity, so he had to answer Nebuchadnezzar the next day. I think it was Nebuchadnezzar. Cyrus or Nebuchadnezzar. And so there's a police. And so I always feel like I'm in trouble from childhood, so I have to let that go consciously and be like, you know, and that's the thing with that other person. That other person helped me see that I am worth more than rejecting. And I had to see by, you know, someone that I let my heart love, of feeling utterly and fully rejected by that person, to keep coming back to, well, am I really rejected or not? And I mean, go through so much, like, you know, feeling like not wanting to be here on this earth again. You know, that was just recently, you know, I mean, in the last 3 years that was, like, because it was such a repetition of childhood, of feeling like my parents that, quote, created me. You know, they didn't. I was created by God above that, right? So you go above that, back up here to this. I only have one hand because I'm holding my phone. Back to this oneness that's higher than all this stuff, right? When my mother and father forsake me, through this person, through any person, through myself, when I forsake myself, and I had to surrender because there's nothing left, because I chose, I'm going to value life. I'm going to value life, and I'm going to stay here. I choose to stay here. Always, I choose to stay here, right? I'm not going to act on that impulse that just says you're worthless, you know? I've lived enough days to know that another day will come, you know? In that moment, you don't feel like it, but take a deep breath and go, wow, you know? I've read so many mystics saying God is closer than your next heartbeat, than this heartbeat, than your next breath. It's 33 minutes into this. I was in room 33 today, right? I was going to end this then at 33, but I want to keep talking for a moment with Daniel. I want to wrap up this and so Daniel had to let go. He had to let go and be like, you know, God allowed, because Israel wasn't faithful, right? This is how God is just, because they turned away to idols and walked away from divine love and didn't walk in alignment. Align yourself with divine love, with highest love, highest consciousness. Jesus is always teaching you how to break away. Like, if I hadn't broken away from that other person's, how they showed me their estimation of his own worth or my worth, if I hadn't broken away from that, I would never know my real worth in God. You know, it gave me another opportunity to know my real worth in divine love, right? Oh, there's the other leaf. Look, it's just right there. It's just right there. I thought it blew away, but it was just right there. It's so weird. It's so weird. Look, you guys, this leaf, you know, that's a job for Jesus. And this leaf, my own leaf, is a job for Jesus. Look at the heart that I have. See, it can shine through and love all of us. No matter how far gone you feel like you are. Okay, and so Daniel, again, he had to just, because Israel had gone into idolatry, he said, don't turn away from my love and from my ways and from doing what is just and right, because then you'll forget and you won't know, and you bring lack in. It's like if you walk away from lack and you don't align yourself with lack, if you don't come back into that, then curses will be upon you, because you'll manifest that. You will manifest that. God allows it because you keep believing in lack. If I kept believing that I had to stay for the rest of my life in that emotional home, understand, we have an emotional home from childhood because we internalized that this is our worth, but that's not really your worth, is it? Right? That's just what we internalized. And so that we internalize that from our parents' actions, from their lack of consciousness, from their lack of knowing their own worth in divine love, their lack of coming into connection with this. Look, when you pray, go into your inner room, like this diamond, shut all the doors of these outer doors and go into this divine love that wants to give you this infinite love, right? You'll never be in lack. You read Psalm 23, you don't have to believe me. The I am is my shepherd, and that means best friend. That's the same word. And my shepherd. Therefore I lack nothing. When you let the I am that I am, the God that is in the isness of you, be the I am in your life, be Lord in your life, be your shepherd, then you keep moving closer and closer to understanding that you lack nothing. You lack nothing. I lack nothing. And so Daniel, because Israel walked away from that, he let them be pulled into captivity, be taken in by these other nations. They went to idolatry and they looked to idols to save them instead of to the divine love. So he let them fall into what happens when you fall into idolatry. Idolatry is when you let anything else, when you put anything else in front of God, okay? So that Christ entered into this person or whomever, right? That Christ did doesn't mean you idolize this person as God, or yourself as God. You're not God. Just like I was saying at the very beginning of this, it's such a relief to be like, oh, this is just divine presence speaking through so much that divine love has spoken through my life. I'm just letting divine love speak through my life as a vessel. So there's no pressure on me today, right? And so I don't have to be God. If I make myself God, then I fall into all sorts of problems. If I make this other person God and then say, see, God has rejected me. It's like, no, just a person. God is the source, right? I want to use a different leaf, but we can look at it like God is the source. God is the source, like the roots of the tree, the sun. Here, I'll go back to the sun. The sun's the better representation of that. It's just a representation, so I'm not saying to worship the sun. God is the source that causes all these things to grow, right? All of us, we are just resources. We are resources, right? I'm being led to just show that. Oh, look at all the leaves and the flowers, all of it on my outfit today, right? This is just, that's like all of us. All of the world is like this. All of these leaves, I don't know why I was feeling led to wear this today, right? All of these leaves, right? I didn't make this jacket. Somebody else made it. I'm not this jacket. It's like if you think of the divine love who gave the person the creativity to design this. And they designed it after so much of God's creation, all these leaves are like what they saw in the world. And so if Daniel trusted that he was in captivity for a reason, so Israel could see, well, when you worship idols, then you put yourself subject to them. You put yourself underneath them, right? If I, right here, made this person God in my life and said they get to tell me who I am, then I become subject to them and I feel worthless all the time. When I let them go and be like, well, they showed me how much I was relying on other people to tell me my worth, and which was just a repetition of childhood, which was just a way, again, it's a way for divine love to rescue me, right? To rescue me and say, hey, I've always loved you. Any of these people that hurt you in childhood, that abused you or misused you or rejected you or neglected you, come to me. I pick up everyone whose mother and father forsake them. I gave them free will, yes, but that's because at the whole beginning I gave Adam and Eve. If you understand, you can understand that as a story, but it's a story of someone offering love and giving them the free choice to love back, and they chose something less, and then guess what? We become subject to something less, and he wants you to become one back with something more, right? Divine love wants you to do that, but gives us the free choice. It doesn't make us do that, right? I could go on for 8 more years thinking that I'm rejected because one person chose to reject me, and I could do that. And guess what? I love how Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza, talks about in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself or whatever. I went to a week-long advanced training of his, and I'm not recommending that for everybody. But for me, it got in my head, that like, what was it? It was like that you create an emotional home. You have an emotional home. Oh yeah, the high, okay? You have an emotional home from childhood. And it's like, if you keep thinking God is divine love is the stingy God, and this is me interpreting everything not everything, but what I got from Joe Dispenza. So you keep thinking, if you keep learning to not trust because people punched you with this, clenched fist in your childhood, punch you either literally or whatever, emotionally, then you keep not trusting, you don't surrender, right? You don't surrender. And so he says what happens, Joe Dispenza was talking about what happens, what they found now, so he's done the research, and so you can check this yourself, right, is that you get a high, just like they say sometimes sugar gives you the same kind of high as cocaine or something. I don't know about that. I don't recommend cocaine for sure. I'll probably get flagged for saying that word, but anyway, I do my best, right? And so share this and make sure to like this. If you got this far, make comments, share it, push the share button, because then they think you're sharing it. I'm not saying deceive them, but you can share it to yourself, share it to somebody, share it in the air. Envision all the friends you would like this to go. If you're not bold enough yet to give this to them, then envision them in your mind and wish this to them. Wish all these truths in love. It can come to them a different way. It doesn't have to come through this video. I'm so open now to divine love can speak to them whatever way. But anyway, and so I don't want to manipulate anything though. So I don't want to teach you to trick the system. If you push the share button, then I encourage you to share it with at least one person, right? For real, somewhere. I'm like, what if someone here had 1 million followers and they shared this on their platform? It's so weird how that could happen like that, That's why I let go of all the numbers and all that. But let's go back for a second, is you have an emotional home. And so if your parents always treated you like crap and you feel like the punching bag, then you feel like that's your home, okay? And you got used to that home. You got used to your home being this homeless place where you're laying on the ground, And so, hi! Okay. Hi! I can put a dog on my video. Pumpkin, hi! 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 Okay, and so, see, the love can come through a dog, right? And so, always, right? Through animals, through trees, through the leaves, through the breath. All of it is this love. All of it is. Oh, someone's looking over at me okay, I'm gonna go to my car. Because they think I'm videoing them coming in because they don't know the camera's faced on me. I'll just reassure them in this way. I don't mind. Bye. Gemma's the name of that dog. Okay, and so, okay. I'm like, I never know how long this beautiful state's gonna last. So some of the videos are like, I want to put this on a video so that you guys have it while it's here, because I might go back to that momentary feeling of despairing, but it doesn't mean I am in despair, right? It just means, okay, and so if Daniel, right, let's see with this Daniel, right? I'm so careful. I don't want to get anyone's stuff in this. Daniel trusted that God was showing a bigger picture, right? That God was showing a bigger picture to Israel, even though Daniel was faithful. He lived a faithful life, and these other few, there's a remnant of people that will be dedicated to living in oneness with God, in alignment. So even if you've had, because I've had fake Christians in my life, and other people that are like, oh, we do this, and then, messy stuff happens in my life, and so there is a remnant, and I'm not saying the remnant is perfect, right? But it's like a remnant of people that are dedicated to divine love, right, let's get in here, to loving the way that God keeps instructing them how, the best they can, and they're dedicated to surrendering everything. Oh, look, there's roses on my journal. It's like, rise, open your soul eyes, to keep coming back into the oneness, to keep learning what that is, right? Okay, so I'm gonna tie all this together now, right? Let me make sure I have, okay, good. I had extra time today. Anyway, so I wanted to give it to you guys. And like I said, okay, so how to appreciate yourself for real, right? Is understand, okay? So this is what I was gonna share with you, is like, understand that if this, oh, goodbye leaves. See, I let both of those leaves go. It doesn't, they just represent, just like my personality self represents me. I am, Jesus said, this morning, he said, do not be afraid of those. We were reading, I think in Luke 12. No, I was reading it. Do not be afraid of those who, I don't know where I was reading it, who, can harm the body, but they cannot harm your soul, right? I so encourage you to know yourself as soul essence. I'm tying this together. Okay, so Daniel comforted me last night when I was bawling my eyes out. I just felt this missing feeling, but it got resolved this morning. And so, that's, if I had to put a word to it, I identified it like this missing person. But how are we missing anything when we come back here? We're lacking nothing, When you get in deep presence, then you feel like you're not missing anything, because it's true. You're not missing anything, because deep presence is the essence of God, of divine love, right? So anyway, Daniel knew that God had brought him over to captivity, knew that he was still alive for a reason. And if tomorrow was the day that God was going to allow him to die because this king was in a horrible mood and wanted someone to tell what his vision was and said, you have to tell me what my dream is. I think this is the part, because we missed this one chapter, like, tell me what the dream is without me telling you. That could have been the Pharaoh later with Joseph. But anyway, whatever the story is, you can read it. We're getting this essence of the story. We're just looking at this part of it, right? Daniel had to just go, well, if I die, I die. But, I live this life of prayer where he's in a connection with divine love all the time and has seen over and over again. Remember, like that one video I started singing, how I've proved him o'er and o'er. That song kept coming to me. 'Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to know thus saith the Lord. And I, by no means, you can tell, watch any of my other videos, you can tell I am not one to trust quickly and just tell you, oh, just trust Jesus. Do you know what I mean? I'm never gonna, I don't plan to ever say that, just to say that. I would never, I, knowing myself, would think that I would never. I don't put anything past myself, right? I do my best. And I trust God for the rest. There's that clause in, the Lord's Prayer. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Deliver us from every evil, every lack of consciousness. Sin just means to miss the mark of highest love, of highest kindness, of highest mercy, of highest meekness, of highest truth, of highest power. I'm like, you can't tell, I can't flex it right there. Because anyway, my car got in the way, but it's strong. But anyway, because look at how powerful you don't have to bow down to any gods when you're with the one that created all of us. Who, I mean, I know some people that don't believe that there's a creator, but it's like, you have this opportunity to be one with the creator and just be like, oh, well, we all belong to divine love. We all belong to the creator. And so, you know, yes, horrible things can happen in our childhood because divine love allowed people to have free will. Now let's go back for one more second, tie this loose end, right? Oh, see, I'm used to 1 hour, so we're about to wrap up our hour here, you guys. Now, I'm not saying I'm your psychologist. Go find one if you need one, right? I have that disclaimer in my YouTube description. You know, always you can read my descriptions. Oftentimes there's like 6 more therapy sessions in the description, you guys, right? But is that emotional home. So if our parents treated us like crap, then, I'm so glad I'm finishing this thought. Then what we do is they say, Joe Dispenza was saying that other people saying they've studied neurons and neurochemicals in our brain. You get a high from going back to this rejection feeling because you're like, oh, at least it's familiar. Isn't that horrible? Like, I kept, instead of letting go of that person's definition of me, and I don't even know if that's their definition of me, that's just the definition that I internalized by the narrative from my childhood of me, that they just couldn't care less about me and, you know, wanted to impress other people instead of have anything to do with me or please somebody else or whatever, please themselves, you know, go, I don't know, I don't want to go into that, you know, keep choosing other people, whatever, you know, other women. That has nothing to do with my worth, right? If we have my leaf again, my leaf is one in God and in love. And this lo, I am with you always. And what really resonated just with me, look, I wrote it down. I was just in a mass, but I welcome again, you know, again, it says, look, I wrote it. Jesus saying, come unto me and I will restore you. Cheryl, it's like saying, when are you going to trust that I will restore you? I will restore you to this fullness of love. I always wanted you to know this. But what happens again is we get used to that rejection feeling and that shame feeling. So it's like before, I used to look at my body and be like, oh, my body's not where I wanted my body to be, you know, lean and strong and healthy, like it is more so now. You know, I went from a size 12 to a size 4, you know, but it's don't judge yourself by your size. I never weighed myself. And then anyway, I won't go in. But all I'm saying is that all I was doing was using the weight to keep shaming myself because I knew this sense of shame. And finally I was just like, I'm not going to use weight anymore to shame myself. And I liked myself as I was. I was just like, forget it. I've tried everything to lose this weight. And of course they say when you let go and stop equating my shame with that, then it's like my mind couldn't equate my shame with my body anymore. And so then I lost all this, well, I lost weight and I kept some weight on my body, but I turned it into muscle. It's so weird how my body negotiated this. Maybe there's still some shame left, but notice your addiction to shame, right? This is how you can really learn how to appreciate yourself for real. Am I just addicted to going back to the state of feeling rejected? You know, I go to this church and all these people love me and adore me and are like, sing for us and whatever. And I'll go to the one person that's like, why are you singing? Blah, 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 blah. Or the one person that judged me and rejected me this one time and is like, I don't like when you do blah, blah, blah. I was so obsessed with how do I reconcile, you know, this person hating me or not seeing. And it's like, then I just prayed and prayed. Jesus is always giving you these answers, always teaching you how to get into higher consciousness. Pray for your enemies, right? That's it. She was my enemy, a quote enemy. I knew she wasn't, but in my mind, she was my parents now rejecting me all over again, being in lower consciousness, not seeing my value, telling me that I sucked, you know, that's a clinical term. And it's like, I had to keep praying for her, and literally it took 4 months, maybe 4 months of me praying for her and surrendering it over and over to God and going, no, she doesn't determine my worth. It doesn't matter if she rejects me, or even if she had rejected me, or I just interpret it as that. Let go of this story. Let go of being addicted to going to lack. Why is there a room full of 100 people that love you and you're going to go to the one that doesn't? You know, why is it that all these people valued you? You know, I have all these people that are like, I had such a crush on you in high school and blah, blah, blah. And like they're magnificent people. They happen to be married, but, you know, that are just like, you know, they just loved me as a person in my essence, not because of anything that I did. They just knew me before I was like doctor or anything, you know, author, blah, 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 you know. And so it's like, there's people that know my worth, you know, and, or closer to know it. God knows it the most. So keep going back to divine love. Keep going back to divine love and asking, what is my true worth? How can I stop going to idols? Because if I idolize this pen to tell me my worth, right, then I am subject to this pen. I just told this pen to give me my worth, and I've made this pen my God. So make God your God, you know. I mean, you don't have to, but a divine love as the creator, as a loving creator. Ask God, bring all of your old pain from your childhood into the presence of God and say, how am I keep going back to that shame and that rejection that I knew, because I'm addicted to that feeling state, because I know how to negotiate everything when I feel like crap, when I feel like everyone hates me and I feel rejected. You know, it's like, my friend, this is in 7th grade. She was Jennifer Jecht and I was Cheryl, you know, and Jecht. That's what we felt like, because she was adopted, you know, and I just felt like rejected all the time. It was just, and so it's like, no wonder I manifested someone utterly rejecting me, right? That has nothing to do with my worth. You know this. So apply this to your life. I'm only sharing with this to you, not so that, I don't care what you think about me. I just don't want you to feel like you're rejected. I don't want you to think that anymore. You know, but you can. It's a free country. No one is going to make you let go of that thought and let go of that being your emotional home. This is your home. This is your home. This can be your home, you know. But that's up to you. That's up to you. Watch my video on TikTok. If you don't go to TikTok if you're not ever there, I don't recommend that place. It's like, because like the things that have shown up when I'm just uploading, but I just trust that God will get those things out of my mind. I could throw up right now thinking about them. But some of the videos out there, they have in the app, they have this heart that can keep, this exploding heart that can keep showing there. But there was one that was talking about, don't take it personally when you feel like, you know, when other people treat you like you're ruined. It's just because you believed in childhood for some reason that you were ruined, and they didn't. They don't. No one has the power to ruin you. You still have breath, right? You're still here, and you got to have someone telling you today that you're not ruined. You know. And so all those people told you by their actions, we're ruining you, because they felt ruined, you know, or they wouldn't do that. If you love, then you keep loving. If you know love, then you'll just keep loving. And so you were never ruined. But that's an emotional state that we internalize. And we go back to that until we're sick of it. Until we're going, I'm not going to let this pen tell me my worth anymore. I'm glad that Jesus entered that person. I'm glad that that person is loved by Jesus. I can just surrender and stop getting my worth from something that's less than God, right? That's the first commandment. You shall have no other gods before me. He's not trying to trick us, because God is divine love. So let divine love, the love of the divine love of the I am that I am. You're not worshiping love. You're worshiping the divine love, from which all love is a derivative. It's all resource from the source, right? That's why you think when someone's loving you, or you're just opening your heart, you're loving them, that love is going to last. No, divine love is going to last. You know, they get to choose if they want to stay aligned with divine love. I get to choose. If I stay aligned with the divine, it doesn't matter if I'm single the rest of my life. Like I choose love. I'm not single. I'm one. I'm in this oneness, and I wish it for you. And this is how This is the only way I know how to truly appreciate myself. It's not from achieving more or being a better teacher or, getting some guy to like you. It's like, I tried that. It doesn't work. I tried every way. It doesn't work. All right. I wish you so much love. I honor your presence. Thank you so much for being here for this hour.